President Donald Trump announced that the United States carried out what he described as a decisive and highly lethal military operation against Islamic State-linked militants operating inside Nigeria, following weeks of pointed criticism aimed at Abuja over what he has called a failure to adequately protect Christian communities from extremist violence. In a message posted on Christmas evening to his social media platform, Trump said U.S. forces had executed powerful and deadly strikes against Islamic State elements in Nigeria's northwest. While the statement emphasized the force and precision of the operation, it did not include specific information regarding the scale of the attack, casualty estimates, or the full extent of the damage. The president referenced the northwestern state of Sokoto as the general area of operations, but stopped short of identifying the precise targets. Shortly after Trump's announcement, a U.S. Defense Department official, speaking on condition of anonymity due to the sensitivity of the matter, confirmed that the strikes were conducted in cooperation with Nigerian authorities. According to the official, the operation had received approval from Abuja and involved close coordination between U.S. and Nigerian military and intelligence services. Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs later released a statement acknowledging the collaboration. The ministry said the cooperation involved intelligence sharing and operational planning carried out in a manner consistent with international law, mutual respect for national sovereignty, and shared commitments to both regional and global security. Nigerian officials emphasized that the country remains open to working with international partners in its ongoing battle against violent extremism. Despite these confirmations, independent verification of the operation's impact remains limited. Journalists and international observers have so far been unable to confirm casualty figures or assess the broader effects of the strikes on militant capabilities in the region. A complex security landscape. Nigeria has been grappling for years with a multifaceted security crisis involving a range of armed groups operating across different regions of the country. In the northeast, the Boko Haram insurgency, now fragmented into multiple factions, has continued to terrorize civilians. Among these factions is the Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP, an offshoot aligned with the broader Islamic State network. In the northwest, a separate but increasingly dangerous threat has emerged. Armed groups commonly referred to as bandits operate across vast forested areas, engaging in mass kidnappings, village raids, and deadly assaults on security forces. Among these factions is Lakurawa, a lesser-known but rapidly growing organization that analysts say has developed ideological ties to extremist movements. Security experts believe the recent U.S. strikes may have targeted Lakurawa positions. Over the past year, the group has gained notoriety for increasingly sophisticated and brutal attacks, particularly in remote communities where state presence is minimal. Lakurawa is no longer just a criminal gang, said Malik Samuel, a Nigerian security researcher with BIT Governance Africa. In parts of Sokoto and neighboring states like Kebbi, they are exercising territorial control. Their activities reflect a broader pattern of ideologically driven extremism, filling the vacuum left by weak governance and limited security deployment. Samuel and other analysts argue that the Northwest has become fertile ground for militant expansion due to the near absence of state authority in many rural areas. Sparse infrastructure, difficult terrain, and under-resourced security forces have made it challenging for the Nigerian government to maintain consistent control. Religious dimensions and political rhetoric. Trump framed the U.S. military action as a response to what he described as systematic attacks on Christians by Islamic State-linked militants. In his statement, he accused extremists of viciously killing innocent Christians and suggested that U.S. intervention was necessary to halt what he portrayed as unchecked persecution. However, residents, civil society groups, and Nigerian officials have consistently pointed out that the violence affects Nigerians across religious lines. While Christians are often targeted in some regions, Muslims, particularly those who reject extremist ideologies, have also suffered mass casualties. Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs underscored this point in its response, stating that terrorism in any form, whether directed at Christians, Muslims, or other communities, represents a violation of Nigeria's core values and a threat to international peace and security. The government has previously pushed back against Trump's characterization of the conflict, arguing that framing the violence solely as religious persecution oversimplifies a far more complex reality. Many attacks are driven by a mix of motives, including competition over land and resources, ethnic tensions, political grievances, and criminal activity. Escalating U.S. pressure. The Christmas Day strikes followed a series of increasingly forceful measures by the Trump administration aimed at Nigeria. Last month, Trump directed the Pentagon to begin preparing contingency plans for potential military action in the country, citing concerns over the treatment of Christian communities. In parallel, the U.S. State Department announced new visa restrictions targeting Nigerian individuals and their family members allegedly involved in acts of violence against Christians. Additionally, Washington recently designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act, a classification that can carry diplomatic and economic consequences. Trump praised U.S. military capabilities in his statement, claiming that American defense officials had carried out numerous perfect strikes and asserting that the United States would not tolerate the spread of what he called radical Islamic terrorism. Nigeria's demographics and ongoing challenges. Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, is home to roughly 200 million people, with Christian
Nevertheless, Trump has continued to apply diplomatic and rhetorical pressure as Nigeria has faced a series of high-profile attacks on schools, churches, and rural communities. Experts caution that without comprehensive reforms, including improved governance, economic development, and security sector reform, military strikes alone are unlikely to resolve the underlying causes of the violence. Official reactions and holiday timing. The timing of the operation, carried out on Christmas Day, drew attention both domestically and internationally. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth addressed the strikes in a post on X later that evening, reiterating the president's stance that attacks on innocent Christians must come to an end. "Our forces are always ready," Hegseth wrote, adding that Islamic State militants found out tonight, on Christmas. He also expressed appreciation for the Nigerian government's cooperation and concluded his message with a holiday greeting. The statement suggested that further actions could follow, though no additional details were provided. An uncertain path forward. As Nigeria and its international partners assess the aftermath of the strikes, significant questions remain. It is unclear whether the operation will meaningfully degrade militant capabilities or alter the broader security dynamics in the Northwest. For many Nigerians, the immediate concern remains safety and stability. Communities across the country, Christian and Muslim alike, continue to live under the threat of violence, displacement, and economic disruption. While international support may provide short-term gains, analysts widely agree that lasting peace will depend on Nigeria's ability to address the root causes of insecurity, rebuild trust between citizens and the state, and ensure that all communities feel protected regardless of faith or ethnicity.